Welcome to the Glasslab podcast, where we talk all things product development. It's our goal every month to introduce you to the people, ideas, and development tools that are shaping the hardware products we all use every day.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first intern version of the Glasslab podcast. We are super excited to be here with you today. I'm Alaina, and here with me I have other interns, Chase and Matthew. So we'll probably start off and just give a brief introduction about ourselves and what we do at Glassboard. So Chase, if you want to start us off.
Yeah, so I'm a rising junior engineering design major at Rose-Hulman. I'm also getting my master's in engineering management, so that's pretty cool. Engineering design, if you don't know, it's basically product development as a whole. So we touch on mechanical design, electrical design, computer software design, things like that. And then we'll explore the product development process, bringing a product to market, helping get it manufactured, and then the launching of that product as well. So that's kind of what I do here at Glassboard, is I help our clients move from the discovery phase into active development, so helping flesh out design metrics that we'll have to go through when developing the product, and then help them bring it to market once we actually develop it.
Cool.
Hi, I'm Matthew. I'm entering my senior year in electrical engineering at Purdue University. Here at Glassboard, I'm a hardware development intern, which means I work on both design of PCBs, like in the computer, choosing components, placing them, and then routing the traces that go between them, and then also getting those components ordered, shipping them into Glassboard, and then manufacturing some of the first rev PCBs in-house for troubleshooting and testing.
Hi, I'm Alaina Wol, and I'm a rising senior at Butler University, and I am a marketing major, and I'm actually the first marketing intern for Glassboard. So it's been super fun, and I love working under Tamara and just working with a bunch of engineers. So it's super fun to just jump in and get started. What I've been working on majorly is campaign strategy and different things to post on LinkedIn and our other platforms that we use at Glassboard. And I'm learning a lot. It's super fun.
We love that. Yeah. I guess jumping right in off of that, Alaina, how is it working with a whole bunch of engineers, being that you're a marketing intern from Butler?
It's definitely not what I expected, but I'm excited to have this experience and then look at it with a different experience. And what I mean by that is it's probably more difficult to find a small company with an awesome company culture than it is to find an enterprise opportunity. So I'm excited to be able to take this and kind of compare it to what I would have at kind of more of a corporate setting. So here, what's really amazing about Glassboard is that they really encourage you to put ideas out there, and if you're wrong, and to kind of learn from that and grow from that. And so being around a bunch of engineers, you guys fail a lot.
So true.
Like, you fail a lot. And I think being in that kind of space really helps me because obviously I'm learning and I'm somewhere where you guys don't have a dedicated marketing team. So I'm kind of learning alongside the people who are currently doing the marketing. So it just makes me really feel safe and comfortable, and it's a good learning environment.
Love that. We definitely do fail a lot,
yes,
Matthew, don't we?
Yeah, definitely part of the process. I mean, the design process is inherently iterative, and that's definitely something we get exposed to here at Glassboard. I mean, all of the projects that I've worked on, they start at Rev 0, and then, within a couple of weeks, we're already at like Rev 1.3, and, change is constant, and it's what facilitates, improvement. And I think that's, really cool.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So why don't we talk a little bit about our career paths, what we hope to see ourselves doing in the future, and kind of how Glassboard fits into that, and kind of how we stumbled across Glassboard.
I can start. So for my future opportunities, I really love product design and development, which is why I'm here. I like working on the whole product development process, not just one little piece. So my hope is to move, either stay here or move to a different company where I can still do that, pursue working with users, making their dreams come true is like one of my big things that I like working towards, and being able to see that whole like development from taking their dream to creating it and then launching it with them is something that I'm really passionate about.
That's awesome to hear.
Yeah, very cool. The biggest thing that I've seen at Glassboard that's been, related to my future career and all that is, kind of comparing to where I've worked before. I did 2 work rotations with an automotive company, and the biggest difference that I've seen between working in product development and the automotive workspaces is just how much better it is for me as an individual to be working hands-on with hardware rather than, writing requirements and doing validation and stuff like that. It's really cool that at Glassboard we have the opportunity to actually design and validate our own stuff rather than, outsourcing that to someone else. And so it's really shown me that, like, in a future career position, that's something that I want to see, actually being able to have ownership over the things that I'm designing.
And then how did you guys research, find, and acquire this opportunity? What did that process look like for you?
Yeah, so for me, I kind of just stumbled upon Glassboard. My major, it's very new. We're only 8 years old at this point, and we're getting accredited in October by ABET. So we don't really have a lot of jobs out there that are suited directly for our major yet because it's still up and coming. So when I was looking for product development firms, people that, focus on the entire process and not just one little piece, Glassboard is something I found. And thankfully, they were right in Indy because Rose-Hulman is in Terre Haute, so it's only an hour away. So I filled out the little contact me form. Grant emailed me back, brought me up for an interview, and the rest is history, I guess.
What about you, Matthew?
Yeah, so the way that I was introduced to Glassboard was actually very lucky. Grant and Drew, who are so prolific here at Glassboard, are actually the two people that founded the Electric Vehicle Club at Purdue, which is something I'm really active in. So I was actually networked with them through another member of the club, and we had the opportunity to actually come down to Indy one day during the school year. Grant gave us a full tour of the shop. He showed us, all of their 3D printers. He showed us their mechanical labs, their electrical lab, all of the tools and supplies that they have to do what they do. And it just seemed really cool. And, we just kind of were talking informally, kind of talking about what we're doing at Purdue and all of that stuff. And then eventually the conversation shifted over, a couple days and a couple emails later to, interviewing for an internship position. And that's what ended up happening. And I'm really, really thankful for it. It's been a great experience.
Just wondering, because I'm not from Purdue, I feel like they would have a shrine. Like, do the people in the EV club know of them? Like, are they famous the way that they're famous in my head?
Their names definitely still stick around.
Oh my gosh.
Because they're actually still really involved with, the competition that we participate in. They're, a big name in that, and their name's on the back of the shirt and all that. So I'd definitely say that, they still stick around. They have a big legacy in the club, which is, really cool to see, an alumni network that's, still active and present.
Legends. Love
that.
hearing it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, for me, I originally had a different opportunity this summer. And I found the opportunity going through TechPoint. Great program, by the way. But going through TechPoint, I had a different opportunity. And then unfortunately, that one did fall through. But obviously, everything happens for a reason. And I'm glad I'm sitting here with you guys. And I wouldn't have changed that for the world. But basically, TechPoint had reached out to the current companies that already had externs in their programs and said, hey, we have an intern that, can no longer do their opportunity. Are you guys open to taking a marketing intern? And it kind of just worked out that Grant and Tamara were kind of thinking, maybe we could use a marketing intern. So I kind of just fell in their lap just as they fell in mine, and the stars aligned for the first time ever in my life. And I just had the most fantastic opportunity. And the first interview I had, it was so transparent. Like after working here for, a month and a half? How long have we been here?
Yeah.
Month and a half. I just feel like that interview and everything they said really lived up to what I'm experiencing. They told me that they don't have a dedicated marketing team, which I knew coming into the opportunity. They told me that this was going to be a learning space and that they encourage learning, and that's really what they want us to get out of this opportunity, and that they really want us to just try. And if our trying doesn't set us up for success, then try again and kind of use that momentum to move on and not really hang on the fails, if that makes sense. But I feel like that's a very broad engineering. Every engineer feels that way, but I feel like they really encompassed that. So I feel like my journey has been very transparent here, and that's kind of how I came about. I'm going to go backwards a little bit because I remember you saying, Chase, that your major is relatively new. That's correct. For someone like me, I can kind of identify because I came into school with an exploratory major, and obviously that's meant to be temporary and a learning experience within itself, and you can't stay exploratory for a long time. What advice would you give someone who's currently looking for an internship opportunity who either doesn't necessarily have a direct, clear career path like me, or like you, where there isn't necessarily an opportunity out there that is clearly defined for their major?
Yeah, so So I get asked this question all the time. My freshmen coming in, they don't really know what to look for in an internship because we're so new, because there's just so many different things that you can specify within our major. So you can specify within mechanical design, electrical, CS, you can get like a robotics minor or management minor, things like this. So it definitely depends on what you want in an experience. I feel like it's definitely hard to judge at first if you want to be at a smaller or larger company, but if if you like the feel of your school, if it's a small school, I would definitely suggest a smaller company first before moving into a larger company if that's possible. And then also just looking at the job description, seeing if it is in line with your interests, not necessarily if it's in line with your major. So I have a whole bunch of freshmen who went out to internships this year who went into like electrical design internships, and that's just like a subset of what we focus on. We mainly focus on mechanical design in our degree. So it was very interesting to see that they could go and pursue this just because that's what they're interested in, and learn from it, and then be able to take more classes that they're coming sophomore year now in electrical design to kind of firm that up and then get an internship with a bigger company. So I would definitely say know what size you want to go to, or at least try to, and then find something that's in line with your passion, what you want to kind of explore, even if you don't want to go into that as a career, just what you're passionate about in that moment.
I agree. And with everything you said, I agree. And to kind of add to that, I want to take more of a mindset lens. I think that being an exploratory major and not necessarily, looking at opportunities on Handshake and thinking, I can at least narrow it down by accounting or finance or whatever that may be, you get stressed. It's stressful. And I think everyone feels like, at least I know that was my experience, that you have to have everything figured out before you have the internship opportunity. You have to have a certain set of experiences and technical skills. And that is true for some. But for most entry-level internship opportunities, they know you don't know anything. They know you're in college, they know you're learning, and they want to help you in that. They're investing in you to help you grow so you can be a future asset to the company potentially later on. And I think some advice I'd give to a freshman or a sophomore is to not focus on what you don't have or what you need to have to get an internship, but focus on having that internship and using that as your experience background, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Didn't articulate that well, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a corporate philosophy actually that taking in an unspecialized intern is actually a very beneficial process because, you take them in, you give them some experience, and then when you send them back to school, you can kind of, influence what they're going to specialize in maybe. Like if you expose them to let's say you're working on something at Glassboard, like circuit design, and, the people that you're working with see that you're doing really well in that, they might suggest that you take some more advanced, impedance classes and learning how to do some control stuff because they see that you're kind of latching onto that. And then when you return for another work rotation, they get someone who's actually specialized in something they need. Yeah. And so, they don't expect you to have experience. They don't necessarily want you to already be specialized. They want to be able to mold you into exactly, what can fit into their company.
That's a really fair point.
So, Alaina, going off of how we got here to Glassboard, I would love to hear your kind of internship overview of normal process of how to get an internship. How does Butler kind of prepare you for that?
No, for sure. They definitely start you off soon. And I think that that's really important. I feel like a lot of schools are doing that. And I feel like the norm for when you should have started I don't like to shit on myself, but basically the norm has kind of shifted. I think that I want to say average, it seems like everyone around me in the business world, you can correct me if it's different for engineers and STEM majors, but most people have their first internship by maybe a trial one in the summer after their freshman year, or probably the summer after their sophomore year, I'd say, is the average of when people start having internships. And I think coming into college, I really thought junior year summer, that's when you have your first internship for a business major. And that kind of shifted for me along my journey. And that was kind of a big pill I had to swallow because when I came in as a freshman, I still didn't know what I wanted to do. So that was something that was really stressful for me, but you kind of overcome that by forcing yourself to go to career fairs and participating in kind of the networking that your school will provide to you. So that's kind of how I went about finding mine, is talking to people at career fairs, and through that learning about myself, learning about what I wanted in an internship, and trying to figure out how to network, because that's something you have to learn. You don't know that coming out of high school.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. My major, it's structured a little bit differently. So we're required to take 2 6-month working periods to graduate. So we take off school 2 of our, trimesters, and then we'll work through the summer in 1 trimester, and then the trimester, and then 1 summer is our 6 months. And so I feel like that is like really good, because you not only get like the 3-month internship in the summer that everybody else gets, you get a little extra on top of it. So you'll get 2 summer internships and then 2 3-month working experiences during school. So they structure it so that we just take online classes. It's a lighter load. It's super easy to manage. And then we have basically a full year's worth of working experience, which puts us above other people in our field. So it makes us more competitive and things like that. So I feel like a lot of majors are kind of taking notice of that at Rose, and they're trying to integrate that into their programs. And I feel as though other colleges will start to notice that as well. And it's just going to make it so much easier for kids to actually get hands-on experience before we go start working. Because, even coming to Glassboard, I feel like a lot of my classes didn't prepare me for the work I was going to be doing here.
So what year did you start your first professional experience then?
So this is my first professional experience.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I was going to go for one last year. I was a little shaky on my grades and everything.
Yep.
So I wanted to take a couple classes over the summer to kind of boost those up, get back to where I needed to be for my 2 majors that I'm seeking at the same time.
Right.
So mine was a little bit different experience than everybody else, but I would say that about 50% of the kids at Rose get an internship their first summer.
Like after freshman year?
Yep.
Okay. What about you?
My first work rotation was the fall semester of my sophomore year. So I did freshman year, and then in the spring of my first year was interviewing with Stellantis, formerly Fiat Chrysler, and talking to them about actually doing a co-op program, which is kind of similar to what Chase was just talking about, but it's not actually, required or integrated directly into the major. It's an option you can take, and it extends your schooling by a year, but you do 5 work rotations, and you alternate between being on campus and, doing all your coursework, and then going back to your company that you're working with, and you actually go through a different department each time. So like when I was with the program in Stellantis, they required that you do an automated driving rotation, and then they also encouraged that you do one in I believe it was somewhere in drivetrain or validation or something, but they have different ones for depending on what major you are. And so like when I was there as an electrical engineer, I did the automated driving software and then electrical engineering validation. And, it was a cool experience, getting the opportunity to, alternate off between school and work. But for me personally, I ended up leaving that program because it was hard for me to balance what I wanted to actually accomplish at school and not being there full time, because something that's really important to me in my education is like being in extracurricular organizations and being a leader in those organizations. And if you can only ever say that you'll be there for 1 semester at a time, you can't actually work on anything that requires work over separate semesters, whether that's research, whether that's being on a team. And so I ended up, sacrificing the co-op program to be more involved in programs at Purdue.
Okay, so that would be kind of similar to how Chase's program is structured then, right?
Yeah.
But you enjoyed it. Is that a correct assumption?
So this is my first of the 6-month working experiences.
Okay.
And I enjoy it so far.
Yeah.
My online classes are easy to manage. It's work, but it's just work after work. So I'm used to the normal wake up at 6 a.m, stay up until midnight or 2 a.m. doing homework. So this is a lot lighter load than I'm usually taking on work and then classes afterwards. So it's super easy to manage. Yeah.
I think I stand with Matthew. I think that the way that Butler structures their internship requirements, I think that's more similar to what you'd say your ideal setting would be. We're only required to have 2 internships, and they have to be completed after a certain number of classes. And because of that, coming in with no previous credit, if you're somebody that has no previous credit, then you would probably start your first internship after your junior year. And then you would have your second internship during the first semester of your senior year or second semester of your senior year. But I don't know how I would do in a co-op setting. I really don't, because I feel like I learned so much about myself, and especially being an exploratory business major when I came into school, that I don't know how I would function having to kind of do a professional experience when I would be having classes, or just kind of combining both, because I think you learn so many life lessons from both. I feel like I would just end up being so overwhelmed.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say that the actual like work, I mean, ignoring the fact that they're completely different companies,
Yeah.
but the actual like work experience between a co-op and an internship, I would say is indistinguishable. It's not like, co-ops or, do different type of work than interns. That's that stereotype that like interns get coffee and all that has kind of been obliterated at this point. Like it's
I agree.
almost not even relevant that people keep saying that. But
Right.
the biggest difference is, like you were saying, it's weird that like when you're in a co-op, you're constantly getting like messages from all your friends on campus of like things that are going on, and like, you're just like not even in the same state. And it's like, this is bizarre. Like everyone's in school, like doing homework, and I'm like, working just 9 to 5, and then I'm off. Like it's just, it's bizarre to have that happening at the same time that it would normally be school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys both, when you came into school, did you have your major, or like what was the progression of your major?
So mine was a little bit funny.
Oh.
I started out wanting to go to Purdue for Spanish. And then I definitely, that was like tail end of junior year going into senior year.
Like education?
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically. And then I found out I hated kids.
Valid.
So then we obviously moved into engineering. I had always been taking engineering math related classes throughout like my entire school curriculum. So it was like a no-brainer just switch into that. And so I wanted to go into chemical engineering because I wanted to do DNA splicing, like CRISPR, gene editing, things like that. And so I was going to go to Rose for that. And then I started looking at the program and I was like, okay, well, I hate chemistry. I don't know why it didn't register in my mind that chemical engineering needed chemistry, but yeah. So then I was like, okay, we'll switch from chemical engineering to mechanical engineering, because a couple of my cousins have done it. They've gone to work for the government, and I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
And then I found engineering design like literally 2 or 3 months before I was going to go to Rose. And so just learning that it's basically mechanical engineering, but you also get to do electrical and CS, and it's the whole product development cycle. And it's not just your working math equations your 4 years. That's definitely why I moved into design 3 months before I started.
That is really crazy to think about. And I think you could probably second me on this, but I could not like genuinely envision you as a Spanish professor or teacher or like, I really can't, like as an engineer, that is all I picture you doing.
Yeah. I don't know what I was thinking, honestly. It would have been awful.
That's great that you can make that jump though.
Yeah.
Like not a lot of people can, like those are like, I feel like on opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Well, from the engineering point of view, I mean, just, from what I know about you from the past month or so, I can't see you as a chemical engineer either.
Yeah.
Like the mechanical I can see. I mean, like the mechanical and, engineering design, like, some overlap, but the chemical, I just, that completely caught me off guard.
No. Yeah. I like working with my hands. I like, working with clients. I think, again, both situations would have been terrible.
It's crazy how that is so muddied for so long, and then it just figures itself out.
Yeah.
And from me looking at it, it just figured itself out. But obviously for you, that probably took a long time and a lot of reflection and experience. How did you make those jumps? What was an experience or something that kind of made you think, I don't want to do this?
Yeah, so the Spanish to chemical was my Spanish teacher in high school. I would just, sat down and talked to her because she was leaving my senior year. And so, we just sat down and talked. And she was just telling me like about her experience, teaching at my high school for however long she was there. And then just seeing things in, classes towards the end of junior year. It was just the disrespect with all of the kids and, them not necessarily making as much as I wanted to, not wanting to stay in a school setting the rest of my life. So then jumping to chemical because I wanted to do gene editing, and then looking at the program requirements for Rose, it was kind of like, okay, I need to find something different. So then I just switched into mechanical because that was something that came easy to me. I've done CAD before. So I like, working with things, taking things apart. And then I got an email from Dr. Bracken, who's my department head in engineering design. And she was like, oh, like, I just wanted to share this with all of the incoming freshmen. Like our kids made these products this year in engineering design. And I just wanted to share it, let you know that this is an option, because not very many people see that that's a major option at Rose-Hulman. So I looked through people's portfolios of all the products that they had made that year, and I got access to a couple juniors' portfolios, so it was like 10 or 12 projects that they've done at this point. And just being able to see like, oh my God, they like made this toy for this kid with this disability. Like that's something that I want to go do. So I immediately switched into it after I got that email. I emailed Dr. Bracken. I was like, thank you so much. Like you just changed my entire career path.
That clarity must have felt so good.
It did, because going into mechanical, I was nervous because I was like, okay, so I'm not the best at like thermodynamics, like stress and strain type things. Like that's not my strong suit. But working with people, creating products as a whole, not needing to be like the top mind in that category, just being able to bridge the gap between all of the top minds, that's definitely who I am as a person. I'm a very like easy to talk to, easy to connect people, always client focused. So
you're really selling it right now. Like I kind of feel like that needs to be my major too.
yeah, I've been told that I'm the best salesman in our major.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I
They
kind of
should
get
really
put
take
with,
advantage of that.
I get put with all of the perspectives. So,
Okay, yeah. That's probably a good plan.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Matthew? Your journey.
Okay.
I want to know how it's different because you're both engineering, right? I want to know what your progression looked like for you finding and clarifying your career path and major.
Yeah. My progression is not nearly as, it didn't have nearly as much topology, but I actually went into Purdue as a prospective aerospace student. I've done electrical hobby work literally my entire life. I got my first soldering iron when I was in second grade. I was doing all that stuff for a very long time, and like it was always just like, oh, eventually you'll go to college, do electrical engineering, like it's gonna be great, like that's just what you're gonna do. And as I got older, I started just being fascinated by aerospace and rockets, in particular, the stuff we send into space, like all the space telescopes, all these observation, equipment that we design on Earth and then just send out into space, and it works out there. It sends us back data that like things that we can never see or touch with our own human experience, but we can design instruments that can beam that back down to us so that we can get as close as we can. I just think that's incredible. It's fascinating. And so I was like, senior year is like, finally, you know what? I want to do that. Aerospace is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to flip everything that I think I want to know and do aerospace. And when I got to Purdue, that's, what I was going to do. And I was actually involved in an aerospace research project my first year at Purdue, and talked to a lot of those students, learned about more what their course load looks like and what they take. And the more I learned about what it actually looks like as an academic path, I kind of realized that maybe it wasn't what I wanted to do. There's a lot more focus on, aerodynamics and like airfoil optimization and, not as much, obviously once you get more into it, especially if you do like master's programs and stuff, you can get more into propulsion and rockets and stuff like that. But once again, that's rocket science. Yeah. I am not a rocket scientist. It got real intimidating real fast. And then the biggest thing that people told me, this is both students and advisors and graduate students and such, is that you can still work in fields like aerospace and rockets and, just space equipment in general without an aerospace degree. In fact, sometimes they're looking more for non-aero people because aerospace is such a, concentrated field. Like every single system that we design today is going to have an electrical system on it. Like that's just a fact. And so you can still be involved in projects of that sort with an electrical engineering degree. And that's kind of the revelation and the advice that made me swap back to my original plan to be an electrical engineer. Like, I'm not going to be involved directly like in aerospace stuff at Purdue, but, I will be learning electrical engineering, electronics, and then after leaving college, hopefully, end up somewhere where I can apply that to an aerospace job.
So I have two things coming out of that. The first is, would you agree that rocket science lives up to its stigma? Like you're confirming that.
Well, I'm definitely not qualified to say that, but from an outsider, I think 100% it has to.
Okay. So when we say it's rocket science,
in my opinion, yes, the fact that you're just taking like two, by themselves inert substances and then mixing them so incredibly precisely and then facilitating a reaction that burns so hot that it can melt any material, but you need to have it inside of materials that we have, I don't know, it's mind-boggling.
The second thing is, what were you soldering as a second grader?
That's
Matthew?
my question.
Who gave you the soldering iron?
The soldering iron was bought for me by my parents. It was a very
Obviously, it was a need
yeah,
in the Matthew
it was
household.
a need. Yeah, I didn't have any money of my own. I wasn't,
I'd hope
running in.
not.
I didn't have any passive income as my little second grade self. But yeah, it was just a really simple, plugged into the wall, had a little dial on it. It was probably fake. I don't think the dial did anything. But
It was a fake soldering iron?
no, the soldering iron
Oh,
is real. It was just
okay,
like
sorry.
one of those things. Sometimes companies will, slap on stuff to make things look fancier than they are. But yeah, pretty much some of the stuff that I made, I used to make what I thought were robots. They were made out of like foam board, cardboard and stuff, and then I would solder in LEDs and lights. And eventually once, I got a little bit older, I learned about, different kind of, almost everything I did was related to motors, LEDs, stuff that you could actually see. I obviously wasn't doing anything with like, logic and signal processing as a child. It was more like, I have a bunch of multicolored LEDs. How can I make them light up in cool patterns? And I remember, I used to just search up like cool LED circuits and like just, figure out what those needed, order the parts. And then there was a Radio Shack down the street from me. Those are gone. They still exist online, but the Radio Shack, you could go down and, anyone who orders electrical components is going to know what a sin this is. You could buy like transistors and ICs for like $2 each.
Oh God.
You could buy 100 resistors off DigiKey for 10 cents. Radio Shack's charging you like multiple dollars for 5.
Right.
So it was hardly cost efficient, but that's how I got my start in what I do now. And I wasn't doing anything groundbreaking, anything that's, particularly relevant necessarily, but doing all that soldering and, finding these random circuits and, thinking I knew how they worked. I didn't, but, I could pretend as a child. And, that's how I got my start.
That is awesome.
I love that.
That is the most Matthew thing I've ever heard.
That's very true. I expected nothing less.
Yeah.
In 5th grade, I don't know if you guys did this where you are from, but did you all do 4-H at all in your elementary school?
I don't know what
Some
that
of
is.
my friends did. It's like not an equestrian club. It's like a farm
Agriculture,
club.
yeah.
Like, yeah.
We
So
were,
you, like,
I'm in
show
a
your
city,
pigs.
suburban.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't have that.
I'm born and raised in Kentucky, so it
Okay.
makes a
Makes
little more
sense.
sense there. So 4-H is agriculture based, but when they did it in the school, it was actually more focused on, believe it or not, like kind of business and economy and like that part of how things work. Like there was this fake money system and all these things, and we had. Wow, this is actually really relevant. We had our own products and we had to, most people, you have like pencil cups, people did pencil holders, like the grip things and like, basically what can you make with a ball of yarn and a water bottle and stuff like that. And my friend and I, when we did it, we had, it was a good and a service, and our service was glasses cleaning and our good was robots.
That you soldered, I'm assuming.
And we just sold, these little teeny tiny robots that just had like 2 light up eyes and nothing else. But we absolutely dominated the supply and demand game. It was really fun.
I would buy that.
It's amazing.
I would buy that for sure.
Yeah. You just imagine a little baby Matthew coming up to you being like, do you want to buy a robot?
Yeah, 100% would buy the robot. So true. But
So we've been working here like a month and a half or so, and we've had a lot of fun together. The interns do a lot of work together. We like to move around offices even if our chairs aren't directly next to each other. Somehow they kind of end up migrating so that we're all in a row. I'm sure that we all have great stories. Alaina, what have you have any good anecdotes, embarrassing moments, anything fun to talk about?
so true. Going off what you started off with, I think I want to know how Tamara feels. Tamara's my immediate boss, the director of operations, and we both sit at, she's so gracious and allowed me to sit with her, but we both sit at kind of like a reception desk, even though we're not receptionists, obviously. But I don't know how, but every single day, at least 1 to 2, maybe 3 other interns migrate behind that desk as well. So it's like not a huge desk, but there is just Tamara like trying to do her job and trying to do the things she has to do every day. And then maybe 4 interns like squished in behind her. And I'm starting to feel bad about it. And I can't imagine how annoyed she probably is, but she's so gracious in allowing us to just be besties at our internship. So I really appreciate that. But something stupid that I did, super embarrassing. So we did, we obviously just recently did the LinkedIn campaign where we have carousels about ourselves and, just some silly questions up on our LinkedIn. And I'm like, this is fantastic. And mine got posted maybe early last week. And I'm like, this is great. This is an opportunity for me to boost it. I'm going to repost it on my own. And I did like the most obvious, stupid intern thing ever as a marketing major. And I accidentally reposted it as Glassboard. And I just remember sitting there thinking, why is this not showing up on my feed? Like, I cannot find it. And I was losing my mind trying to find it. And it was probably up there. How long was it up there?
Probably half an hour.
Oh my gosh. How many people do you think saw that?
At least 50.
I mean, out of 1,700 followers, I'd say 50. So
Yeah.
50 is a good estimate.
I just remember refreshing my feed
Like,
constantly
where
and being
is
like,
it?
why didn't her post
Wait,
come
but that
up?
means Glassboards didn't come up either then, right?
Oh, no, it did.
Oh.
Yeah, because I saw it, and I was like, wait, I already saw Alaina's carousel. Why is it coming up again?
Yep, it's 'cause I
just didn't think about it, but
So
it was the repost.
Glassboard posted me and then congratulated me on the post. It was super embarrassing.
Not our
but-
best moment.
Not our best moment. Tamara was she was so nice to me. She's like, it happened. She comes over and she's like, this is what you did wrong. And I'm like, my whole face is red and I just want to crawl under the desk with all the other interns and die. But, we made it through. We made it past. I unposted it and reposted it on my personal account and all as well. But that is definitely my most embarrassing thing that I've done so far in my internship.
That is a great story. I love it.
Pretty funny.
You also revealed the fact that the interns hide under the desk when we're scared.
It's true.
That is so true. I probably shouldn't have said that, but
I feel like one thing for like next year's interns, what they need to do is actually put them all in a room by themselves.
so true.
Yes, that would be awesome.
I feel like Tamara's just going to keep getting annoyed.
Well, honestly, poor David too. David
gosh.
by another one of Glassboard's like marketing and outreach to employees.
Business development.
Business development. That's the word I was looking
His
for.
official title.
Yeah,
His official title, business development.
So, David By and BizDev is stuck in a room with me, Chase, and Logan. So it's the three of us and then him in the corner. And I'm sure that he probably gets a little bit fed up with having to listen to us, just talk about whatever the heck it is we talk about.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
The intern office would be mint.
We really need a multidisciplinary intern office. We need
do.
to combine the engineers and the marketing. But I think also the beauty of it is we wouldn't get anything done, I think, if I was there. So,
Well,
yeah,
probably. Probably not.
we really do need to be separated. So,
Maybe sometimes. Maybe it's like Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
yeah, specific days where we can be together.
No. But poor David, the first day I came in, he told me, he was like, I used to have this office all to myself. And I was like, I'm so sorry.
Not anymore.
Right.
Surprise.
Literally.
Also, I do want to note for anyone that is thinking about possibly interning at Glassboard, it is ungodly cold, like everywhere,
true.
Yes.
all the time. Even if you shut the vent, somehow it'll blow on you. It is just cold all of the time.
There are like ghost vents. You will be in a room with 0 vents and there will be a draft blowing directly on you.
There
will be.
It's terrifying.
I had to create a vent cover for the mechanical office because Ramon was freezing like every day, just like shivering every time I went in there. So I made a cover to blow on Jacob because Jacob was always hot. It took me like 20 hours to 3D print and it was awful.
Wow.
And the vents are so like structured so weirdly that it kind of just hangs there. But Ramon is like the happiest person in the world now because the vent doesn't blow on him.
Me too.
Yeah.
Also, another little anecdote, Jacob, again, when he was fixing the draft by our reception desk by me and Tamara, they've made their own system. I don't know what it is, but of course they did. They're engineers. But when I said, like you can buy that on Amazon, like something to redirect the draft, like those little plastic pieces, he was like, oh, I didn't even know they do that.
Yeah.
Like, of course you don't. You're an engineer and you couldn't think of possibly not making it yourself.
No, I didn't know that either.
Wait, you
and then
didn't?
somebody,
I didn't know that either.
I don't know who showed me, but somebody showed me the Amazon thing of literally what I made in CAD. And it was like this like plastic cover thing.
You like spent time and
Yes.
like 3D print. Did you 3D print it?
Yes. It took 20 hours to print.
It took 20
It
hours.
took 20 hours, 3 iterations. So really it took like 60 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I will say this, there's no better feeling for an engineer to design and build a product that is both more expensive, more time consuming, and less functional than a commercially available product.
So true.
It is the best.
It's so fulfilling.
It is. It is. And my flimsy little event cover will sit there for the next 5 years.
It will, because why change it?
Right.
You made it.
Exactly.
Don't fix what ain't broke.
Facts. I feel like the multidisciplinary office, like we were talking about earlier, I feel like that needs to leak into other corporations as well.
I wasn't expecting, when I came into Glassboard, so the way it's set up now is there's different rooms for different functions, obviously. So there's a mechanical room, but inside the mechanical room, it is more of a co-working space where they're all at one large table. There's no separate cubicles or anything, and they can all work together. And then there's different rooms, the electrical room, the intern room, and then obviously the workshops. But like going off what you said and kind of my experience, I didn't expect that to be how it would be formatted, how the organizational structure would be. I kind of expected everyone to kind of have their own space. And I don't know why, maybe that's just more consistent in kind of a business world, but is that consistent across engineering firms to your guys' knowledge?
I guess Matthew can speak more to that since you've had your...
Yeah. The way that people were physically organized at Chrysler was there was a ton of office space on the upper floors that were like, that was where the cubicles were. And to my knowledge, I mean, I was working at Chrysler during the COVID phase, and so like those offices were actually locked shut. We weren't allowed in them for whatever reason. And but the way that I was led to believe that it worked was that every employee had a desk. Now, you could have a desk that was empty. You didn't necessarily have to work in that cubicle. It's just that, like, as a Stellantis employee, you had that dedicated workspace. But then, you would have your actual, like, lab if you were working on, like, active chassis or, like, where I was in EE validation. There's an entire set of garages, and that's all on the bottom floor of the complex. And then people would actually do their physical work down there. And then, like, if you needed to do, like, a business call or a lot of, stuff, emails, all that kind of stuff, you might go upstairs to your office where it's a bit quieter and stuff like that. So, the offices were subdivided. There were, marketing offices for sure, engineering offices for sure. But then where people actually did their hands-on work was, completely separated.
Okay.
Interesting.
After coming here, how do you feel when you compare them?
The biggest thing that I notice, that's different company culture-wise between Glassboard and like the bigger company at Stellantis is just, what it's like to actually know everyone you work with and be, more heavily involved with even up the higher up employees like the CTO and CEO. It's super great having Grant and Drew just like a couple footsteps away to ask them literally any question. It could be, related to a circuit board I'm working on, or it could be I'm just curious about something, about how the company works. Because, working at a startup in general is just really cool because Grant and Drew have had a hand in literally every aspect of the company that exists today. And so like if there's anything you want to know how it works or why it works or why it's there, they can answer that question for you. And there's just, like you were mentioning earlier, that great sense of transparency where, everyone's really open to talk about anything. That applies to everyone here if that's just what they're working on, or like Tamara with networking, Grant and Drew with the company. And that's something that, you definitely, I don't think you see at a larger company unless you work your way up and stay there for a very long time. Like as an intern, I never actually met either of my bosses in person at Stellantis. They were always, away. And that was just, it was kind of bizarre. I work a lot better in person, actually seeing the people that I'm talking to and all that. So I really like that about working here.
I think that's something that's great about our flat organizational structure. I didn't expect that when I came in. I don't know why, because I knew that it was a startup and I knew it was a small company, but I guess what I didn't expect is the immediate feedback. And that's kind of what you were talking about where, if you're stuck on a project, the head of the company is somebody that you can go talk to and ask and get an answer immediately that day. And it really propels you to make decisions by yourself and start new things and take initiative because you have answers right away. And sometimes that gets muddied and lost in larger organizations because you're in an email thread or you have to wait a day or two to get it through 3 or 4 people. And so that's something that I found is really great.
Yeah, definitely appreciate the flat organizational structure. Like today, I had a meeting with one of our clients and Grant was a part of it. And it was at like 10 or something. And, he just like slacked us on his phone really quick, was like, hey, can we like move this? Like I have a couple things to do. Just wanted to like make sure it was okay with everybody. Like just him not immediately being like, this is moved because I have stuff to do. Like
Yeah.
just the continuous workflow and making sure that it works with everybody and all being on the same level. Like obviously Grant is above us.
Yep.
Obviously his decision goes. But feeling as though, I mean, not even feeling, like actually being on the same playing field as everybody is something that I really enjoy. And being able to work cross-departmentally and not, have my work, do my work, send it to the next department, actually being able to work with the electrical department or with, our business development people on a product is amazing.
I think part of that is credited due to the, the size. Like we have 20 people, right? We have 17.
We're at 20 with
we're
our
at 20
interns.
We have 20
with the four
with
of us.
interns.
Yep.
So we have 16.
Full time.
Okay, that's crazy. We have 16 full-time people. So that's a small company. Of course, you're able to move a meeting and everything. But I'm not. That's all not credited to it being a small company. I think a lot of it is the culture that they've created, and something that I really identified with is the feeling that we are just as important as everyone else at the organization. And you were kind of talking about this earlier, but kind of that feeling of interns are just going to get coffee, or that stigma around having an internship and you not doing meaningful work. I think that kind of went out the window with this opportunity. Like everything we do has impact. It's a small company. If I want to do something for the LinkedIn, no one else is going to do it. I have to, do research, figure it out. Obviously, as someone is doing it, Ben and Ricky and everyone that helps with that, you're doing a great job. But like if you want to do that and take initiative and create a podcast, you have the ability to do that, and it's going to show up, and you will see it show up, and you'll see the change that it makes. And that's something that's super cool.
Did it?
All right. Thank you everyone for listening in. It's been really fun to be able to do this and to have other people that I like a lot that are willing to do it with me. So,
Aww.
well, this has been really fun. So thanks for listening.